Welcome to 100% Hockey. It's the day after Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final, with the Carolina Hurricanes now on the verge of winning their first Stanley Cup. We knew the Cup was going to be in the building on Sunday night at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. What we didn't know was who would have a chance to hoist the Cup that night, and now we know. An impressive victory by the Hurricanes at home against the Golden Knights. Jordan Staal continues his amazing Stanley Cup Final, actually his amazing Stanley Cup playoffs. Nick Ehlers with 3 assists. Even though post-game he suggested that it was his worst game of the playoffs, Nick Ehlers has proved the signing by the Hurricanes last summer was one of the most valuable, perhaps as valuable for Carolina as the Mitch Marner signing was for Vegas. John Shannon here. Welcome to 100% Hockey. Daren Millard's in transit from Raleigh to Vegas. We will try to catch up with him, try to figure out what airport he is in. And then we're going to talk to the great Larry Robinson, not only about the series, but about his career and what it was like to walk into the Bell Center carrying the torch before one of the Canadiens' playoff games. It looked and sounded electric, and I hope that Larry's able to tell us exactly what he was going through. And also, don't forget that Larry was one of those coaches, like John Tortorella, that inherited a team late in the season. In the year 2000, Lou Lamoriello fired Robbie Ftorek and hired Larry Robinson. 8 games to go to take the Devils to the Stanley Cup playoffs. And not only did Larry coach the team in the playoffs, but he took them to the Stanley Cup championship in a 6-game series against the Dallas Stars, with Jason Arnott scoring the winning goal in overtime of game number 6. So it's Millard somewhere. It's almost like a Where's Waldo situation. And then Larry Robinson on this edition of 100% Hockey.
NHL TV is now on DAZN. Hockey lives here.
Here we go.
Watch every game from every team. The best players in the world. And the coldest plays on ice. Watch up to 4 games at once for the ultimate NHL experience. Sign up now at DAZN.
Welcome back to 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon. Day after Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final, Carolina leads the series 3-2, heading back to Vegas for Game 6 on Sunday. We have tracked down Daren Millard in transit from Raleigh to Vegas. Just exactly where are you today?
Orlando. Just hanging out in the Orlando airport. A brief little stopover, a layover. The connecting flight is delayed by a couple of minutes, so I thought I'd dial up the old Zoom and see if I could chat with you guys.
Well, hold on.
People are very interested. At Gate 123, the people are very interested in 100% Hockey.
Beautiful. They probably want hats. They hats.
They do. I
Yeah,
got a
well-
lot of compliments on my hat the other day.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, it's a beautiful hat. And
Does
your pal
Valaketh have
Steve,
his yet?
your pal Steve Valaket will have his hat by week's end. It'll be good. I will not get any more abuse about it. So he'll be happy. He'll be able to sit on Long Island Sound, smoke a cigar, and wear his 100% Hockey hat in peace and quiet. So
That's a visual.
it is. Thoughts on the game last night?
I thought Vegas played its best first period of the series and got through the opening period tied at 1. And the way they dominated the second period, so 9-1 going into last night through the first 4 games, you would have thought they were in a really good position. Penalty trouble kind of tossed them off their rhythm, and they were never able to fight back and get back involved in the game. The William Karlsson loss is a significant one. John Tortorella confirming after that they're likely going to have to play the rest of the season without him. The loss is damaging. The departure of William Karlsson from the series is very concerning.
Well, you know, when you look back and When Mitch Marner started to go on his tear, particularly in the playoffs, a lot of people gave Carlson a ton of credit because he played that center position, put Marner back on the wing, and took a ton of pressure off of Mitch. And would it be fair to say you probably expect Marner to go back to the center in this situation?
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's going to do necessarily, John Tortorella, with the center ice position. He's got some options available to him. Hurdle's played on the wing the last number of games. He could put him back in. But Marner does have experience playing a lot of center this year, so that is certainly an option. He's performed best in the Stanley Cup playoffs when he's been on the wing. He could also, John Tortorella, decide to load up with that top line of Stone, Marner, and Jack Eichel. So I think there's a few different angles that John Tortorella will take. He is emphatic, though, even though they lost last night, that the team was going back to Raleigh, saying he's going to leave his clothes in Raleigh to go back for Game 7. So there's no damage to the intensity and the confidence of Tortorella.
What did Carolina do so well, Darren, in particular in the second and third periods?
Oh, their power play has been exceptional, John. And that was an area that I had Vegas as a clear advantage coming into the series. The special teams battle was tilted heavily in favor of the Western Conference champions. And instead, it's turned out to be a huge edge for the Carolina Hurricanes. And once they got going a little bit, they were able to limit the Golden Knights' attack. Vegas was very deliberate in the first period, John, getting more pucks to the net, take opportunities to put the puck on Brandon Bussey and not passing up shots. And it was, you could tell, it was noticeable that was a game plan of theirs. But the back-to-back penalties in the set period, then the 4-minute minor to Mark Stone, really took any opportunity to mount much of a push 5-on-5.
I must admit, I'm respectful of Tortorella because he avoided criticism of the officials. I think, and I think there were probably a lot of people within the organization that felt that particularly a couple of the penalties were a little chintzy when it comes to what the Stanley Cup Final is all about. But in the end, you have to kill the penalties. You really do. You have to kill those.
You do. And Vegas had man advantage opportunities, but they were over the glass penalties. They were delay game.
Right.
There was no human element to it. So to not draw a penalty necessarily during the Stanley Cup Final would have been an area of frustration, I know.
Well, speaking of over the glass, what did you make of Nick Ehler's comments after the game? I don't know if you saw them. When he said he three assists, played his worst game of the playoffs, and he's really worried about what his dad was going to tell him.
Well, your hockey dad is always your hockey dad, and your mom is always your hockey mom, and they occupy two different parts of that conversation on the ride home after every game, even in the National Hockey League. But I was impressed by Carolina's star players, especially Stahl again, Nick Ehlers. They played their best game of the series, and for the first time, somebody's won back-to-back games in this set. And now it's Vegas that has to play catch up. I appreciate the comment by Brad McNabb that they've done it the hard way all year, so they just got one more hurdle to clear. But they got to find a way to at least contain that offense of Carolina a little bit. They've allowed at least 4 goals in all 5 games, and that's a pretty big ask to try and rally to win a series if you're giving up that many goals every night.
You know, Jacob Slavin has not come under criticism, but Jacob Slavin has, a lot of people have said, gosh, that's not the Jacob Slavin at times that we've seen and we've rated as one of the best defensive defensemen in the game. I thought Jacob Slavin was really good last night. I thought he was solid. I think the use of his stick was as good as we've seen it in a long period of time. And it was difficult for Vegas to get to the front of the net.
Well, it was just difficult to generate any real opportunities after the first period. Again, the first period, I thought they were just
actually
fine.
I thought the first period, I know that we can talk about the Marner period where he scored his only 3 goals of the series. I thought the first period last night was the best period of the series so far. I thought it was a great period.
You're not off the mark. That didn't finish as much, but it gave you a real optimism if you were a Golden Knights fan, knowing what they've been able to do in that middle period. But Carolina adjusted, and you're right. The sticks were really good. There was a couple of plays in transition where it looked like Vegas was going to get really good opportunities, and they were just knocked off stride a touch. And I'll give Carolina all the credit. They found a way to insulate Brandon Bussey in the 2 games that they've been able to play. Well, 2.5 really. That they've been able to play with the goaltender that's come off the bench. And I don't know many stories that are better than Brandon Bussey right now. A waiver pickup a year ago, a waiver pickup. And he's the guy that's got them within right now in the last week within a win of winning the Stanley Cup.
And if you look at the jigsaw puzzle that is Brandon Bussey's life in the NHL, it was the Florida Panthers that put him on waivers.
Yeah.
And the Florida Panthers might need a goaltender next year.
Right. But Carolina picked him up with the idea of him playing for them, knowing that they've got some guys that have reliability or availability concerns, and they grabbed him and gave him a shot. And like, man, he was top 5 in wins this year, and did not start the playoffs, but that's the old adage where you don't know when you're going to be called on. And he's come off the bench and done an incredible job, John, and recovered from the bad break in Game 3, which was really impressive to be able to come back and now win back-to-back games. You gotta really commend him for that. That he went the hard way, has always gone the hard way in his career. And he's found a way to be on top of the hockey world right now.
But I think you can see that demeanor, that calmness in him in anything he talks about. You're a goaltender. The even keel, and he's not 22 years old either.
No, 27.
27 years old, been through a lot, has let in worse goals than the one that Theodore scored in overtime. We know that. But he just, pretty stoic, the way he plays the game. It's very, very different than what we saw Carolina play when they were playing Jakub Dobish. When you think about emotions and how to play the game. And that to me is one of the spectacular things about what goaltenders are. And you're closer to it than I am because you play the position, well, at least you try to. And it's one of those ones where you look at it and say that sometimes that's why goaltenders have to wait rather than being 19, 20, 21 years old to get their opportunity to play in the NHL, because you just need to hone your skills both physically and emotionally, right?
This is a strain, 27 and doing what he's been able to accomplish this year. I guess Jordan Binnington would be another example of a late bloomer. But
yeah.
And what's happened in the goaltending position over the last number of years, whether it's feast or famine, you got the $10 million guy or the guy coming off the bench. And Vegas won in 2023 with a guy coming in mid-series and mid-playoffs. The Carolina Hurricanes doing it right now with a guy coming into the Stanley Cup Final, virtually unheard of to do this. And it further complicates the understanding of the position. It's almost impossible based on what we've seen to try to get a handle on the right way to develop these guys.
You touched on something there, because I don't know if you saw, or you would have carried Tortorella's post-game press conference when somebody asked him about what he was considering putting Aiden Neal in. And I've been,
it was an emphatic answer.
I'll be honest, I've been critical of Torts. Sorry, I've been critical of John Tortorella a bit because of his terseness in his post-game press conferences. But that one, that question deserved terseness. I, I I thought that was a great answer when he just said, "That's the worst question I've ever heard."
Well, which is saying something because I think Torts would put a few of our questions in that category over his time at the podium. So that's actually saying something. But I think it was just his idea of ending any and all debate. Knowing that there's a 2-day break between games, that they will be riding and sticking with Carter Hart, who has another level, obviously. I don't think he's let in a bad goal in the series, but there's been a lot of offense from Carolina. So you got to find that extra way to keep it below, or you'd like what Bussy did last night, a 2-goal game against, or toss something that's closer to the minimum, just to give yourself, buy your team a little bit of a chance. And I think he's playing good, needs to be great in the Stanley Cup Final.
Do you think Bussy's right hand has really affected a few things?
No. Other than maybe Mitch Marner and the penalty shot, where I think that whole story gathered steam. But no, I don't think so. I mean, otherwise, there would be a story every time one of those guys played, or you'd be seeing more of them try to be developed in the National Hockey League goaltenders, the Southpaws. I don't see it as any type of influence.
By the way, your theory about Caden Primo coming into Vegas for Game 4 actually proved true in Game 5, but it wasn't Primo coming in for the third goalie for the Hurricanes. It was the young Russian.
Yeah. I was just tracking that. Somebody gave me a tip on that and just said, look into it. And I was thinking Primo. But the idea that Carolina had brought somebody else in to serve as the third goaltender, which tells you Freddie Anderson's dealing with something. He's not tired. You're not resting him back to back games in the Stanley Cup Final. So it's unfortunate. I feel bad for him that he's at this stage and couldn't run the table the way he had. But it also points to the fragility of Freddie Anderson over the years. But Jordan Staal, man, oh man, Jordan Staal, like 37 years old, and this goal streak that he's got going in the Stanley Cup Finals, and they're good goals, they're good plays. He on this goal last night, he started the play with a strong forecheck and his body check, and man, oh man, it's impressive and admirable to watch.
Well, it's the matchup that people are now focusing on. And Jordan Staal is out playing Jack Eichel, even though I thought I think we saw something out of Eichel last night, particularly in the third period, where there was emotion and there was talent. There was a lot of opportunities, and Vegas did a lot of things right in the third period, Darren. They just couldn't score.
Yeah, made a push, and here's what I will say as a real positive. I looked at last night saying, if you get a good game from Jack, if you get a game from Pavel Dorofeev, or a game from Carter Hart, you got a good chance of winning. Well, you got 2 of the 3, and if you just dial in a little bit on the defensive side, I think they're fine. But Dorofeev, usually when he scores 1, he gets 5, John. So he scored 2 last night. They found a way to score a couple of goals in combination of Eichel and Pavel Dorofeev. So I think with 2 days off, it's a huge benefit to a veteran team. And remember, there's 5 guys on that Vegas team that played in the biggest game of the season in February, and so they've got experience in high pressure situations, and there's nothing more high pressure now than facing elimination in the Stanley Cup Final, trying to extend your season. And Carolina's done a good job, responded back-to-back games when after a loss. Now it's the Golden Knights' turn. So I'm optimistic from a Golden Knights standpoint that we had yet to see the best game from them, and it will come in Game 6.
So you think
I like your side of you asking the questions, by the way.
I do too, as long as you don't interrupt me. Yeah. because usually I like interrupting, and I can't, but I can't believe is, you're in Orlando Airport and you couldn't say, I'm going to take a later flight because you got the extra day and you could go to the Magic Kingdom for a couple hours,
I know, but I'm closer to the real Magic Kingdom in Los Angeles. And that's the one I like to go to.
You're not close. Well, and yeah, and there is that. The original Disneyland is still pretty cool. There's no question about
Smaller
that.
footprint. It's more intimate.
Next time I'm there, you can take me there. You can take me to Disneyland. You can do that. That'd be great. You and me, I could just see us on on one of the rides. It'd be great.
Space Mountain, baby.
Oh yeah, you and me on Space
we'll buy the picture that they sell, and then the little car ride where you drive around and there's the bar in the middle where you can't leave your lane. You and I in that little car ride would be good. Just having a hoot,
and somebody would just be arguing who wants to drive. So that's
yes. And really, you don't drive at all anyway because it's done for you, and we
What?
still be fighting.
What? So now what's going around the rink yesterday? Any scuttlebutt? Anything other than what's going on with the tournament?
A little bit just about Mike Babcock and the Edmonton Oilers situation. There's a lot of discussion, and there's no lack of opinions on that. I feel like anybody that brings it up has a strong slant one way or the other, and they're looking to get it off their chest. And there's a lot of really significant thoughts out there on both sides of the possibility of Mike Babcock signing. It really dwarfed in all discussion what happened in Los Angeles the other day in the introduction of Peter Laviolette.
Yeah, it did. And you do wonder what Kenny was thinking with hiring Laviolette, because I think he had a choice between staying with DJ or even going with Jay Woodcroft at a certain point, but elected to go with the veteran guy. And you do have to wonder if there's a real belief that Laviolette will do that short-term jolt. And in fact, this is all, in my opinion, this is all residue of what John Tortorella has done. This is all residue. Like if we can get a quick, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, the veteran coach being able to instill structure, and in a short period of time, to take advantage of it, and that's what a guy like Laviolette, I guess, offers at this point.
I thought they would stick with DJ Smith. I really did. I thought they would go down that path. The Peter Laviolette hiring kind of came out of left field in a lot of ways. And the thing I keep wondering is it a connection to Panarin? Is that what they're looking to make him more comfortable? Is there more to come with this? Because it didn't go great in New York, and he asked out of Washington. So I was surprised. I'll admit that I was taken off guard with that.
Well, we'll have to see. By the way, after the break, your pal Larry Robinson's coming.
Do you say hi to him for me?
Yeah,
and tell him I say hi.
Yeah,
and explain to him who I am.
Yeah, when he says who's Daren Millard,
yeah,
that's going to be hard.
You could have softened it by saying, "I'll explain to him who you are," or just gone with it. You didn't have to just put in my face like, "Who's Daren Millard?"
No, that's not me. That's Larry saying that. That's not me saying that. I know who you are. I'm not taking any blame for any of this. You're the world traveler. You're Raleigh to Orlando, Orlando to Vegas. So
well, Larry pulled off the late season step in as a head coach and won the Stanley Cup. So I'll be curious to get what his thoughts were when Torts was brought in, and if it brought back many memories.
I'm sure it did, and I'm sure it brought back more memories when he carried the torch into the Bell Center in Montreal. Travel safe, big boy.
Thanks, buddy.
That's Daren Millard, somewhere in Florida, near Disney World, but he's not going. This is 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon. Back with Larry Robinson after this.
With the NHL app, you can listen to every NHL game right from your phone. And with home and away broadcast feeds, you choose your way to listen.
And he scores!
Whether you're at work, at the gym, or stuck in traffic, the NHL app puts you right in the action all season long. Every team, every game, everywhere you go. Download the NHL app and never miss a moment.
Welcome back to 100% Hockey. So we tracked down Daren Millard in Orlando Airport on his way back to Vegas, and now we've tracked down Larry Robinson, Hall of Famer, Montreal Canadian, Los Angeles King, a guy who has made a huge impact in this game. But one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, Larry, was to talk about the similarities that you have with John Tortorella. I'm not sure there are any, but what you went through in 2000 when you took over the New Jersey Devils for Lou Lamoriello with 8 games to go.
Yeah, that question's been asked to me a few times by different people, and the only similarities are that we both took the team over with 8 games to go in the season. I think Torts is a little different because he wasn't involved with the team. I was with the team the whole year, so it wasn't like I was coming into a whole different scenario, such as he was. So for me, it was fairly easy turnover. I knew what I had. I knew what I wanted to do. The only thing I didn't like about it was that my best friend was being fired.
Right.
So other than that, we kind of both did the same things. I think he had a little bit better ending to the season than I did. I think I ended up 4-4 or something, but he went on a roll and they've just kept going. And so I understand what he's going through. And I also understand the euphoria that he's also going through. Howbeit a little bit different in that, he's been, well, actually, you know what? Thinking about it, John, I mean, we were down 3-1 to Philly and came back and won, and their team has come back on a number of occasions as well during these playoffs. But talking with my brother this morning, I don't think either of us have ever seen a final like this where both teams have made such, I don't even call them glaring errors. I think there's just so much pressure involved in the way both teams play, and that they force and force and force it. And if you're on the receiving end of all that pressure, if you can move the puck quickly, you're going to get offensive chances, and that's exactly what's happening.
Just to go back to your time with the Devils, and again, in reference to Tortorella, he says, my job was just to stay out of the way. Did you feel you had to make tweaks to what the Devils were going through in order to be more successful in the postseason?
Yeah, I thought that, I liked the way that Robbie had everything set out, but I mean, everybody has their own way of doing things as well. I tweaked what I tweaked was the way that we defended a little bit in the zone, in that, you had, in my case, Marty was like a third defenseman out there all the time because of the way that he handled the puck. And a lot of teams kind of picked up on that and did whatever they could to keep it out of his hands. And what I did, I tweaked a little bit, was that I told Marty, I said, Marty, you don't have to go out and play the puck. You stay there and then we'll work around it. And what I did is I just brought my 2D and brought my centerman back down a little bit farther in the zone, and we just popped it to the centerman and got out of our zone that way. And we caught a lot of teams off guard and got a few, odd man rushes. But overall, it was more, I think, in a lot of the ways, it's more like what, from what I gather, that Torts went through, and it was more of a mindset, and refresh their mindset. In my case, there was a lot of, I wouldn't call it finger pointing, but it's always easy to blame somebody else or make excuses and that. And basically, I just reiterated that we don't have excuses. We're a good team. They say that we don't have leadership. And then I pointed right at Scotty Stevens, says we've got probably the best leader of any team in the league right there. And it was so true, because Scotty, not only was he a great leader in the way that he played, he wasn't a rah type guy, in the dressing room that talked a lot, but where Scotty did his talking was on the ice, and he, especially that check that he gave Lindros, that kind of won the game for us right there. And I still remember to this day, after that check, Bobby Hullick turned around to me and he goes, "We've got this now, coach." And that still gives me friggin' chills. It was tremendous. And we, a lot, God rest his soul, Pepe scored a couple of big goals for us, and we just got on a roll, and the same as Vegas is doing. You get on a roll and you don't even think. It's funny how even your conversation will change. There's no negativity in any words that you use. It's everything's always positive, and it's always much easier to play when you're thinking positive.
So you talk about being on a roll, and yet we hear so many stories about whether momentum is a factor in a series, in a game. Where do you fit momentum into a discussion about a playoff series?
Well, there's a number of things that can happen. I think, and if I want to make an example to the game last night, I mean, Vegas had all the momentum in the world until Ehlers threw that puck and Stahl deflects it in the net. Now all of a sudden, momentum just completely changed, and now the tone of the game is different. Now it's a little more even. I think Vegas kind of had control of it at first, which is normal for anybody that's ever played in Carolina. I mean, that's the noise there is deafening, not unlike Montreal. But you know what? Having said all that, momentum, you still have to have that one thing that when you look back, I mean, on all the championships that I ever won, I can always look back and remember about a bounce that went our way and it could have went the other way, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of the way this series this year has really gone. There's been a post on one side or a crossbar, and then the other team goes down and scores. Now all of a sudden the momentum shifts the other way. So it's been an exciting Stanley Cup series, but not something that we probably won't see in a long time.
No, why do you think that?
Well, look at all the different records that are being set. Like, Marner scores 3 goals in the first period, and then Stahl
in 6 minutes and 10 seconds of a second period. Yeah.
Or you're down 4-1, and you give up 3 goals in 3 minutes and 29 seconds. I mean, that's unheard of. But that's the way the hockey's being played now in this year of the Stanley Cup. And normally it's kitty bar the door, and if you get a chance, you better make darn well the best of your chance, because you might not get another one. And in the hockey that's being played in this series, you never know. There's no lead is safe.
2 days off between games 5 and 6. Does that help either of these two teams?
I think it helps Vegas.
It does,
because just the way that Carolina played last night, I think they're on a bit of a high, and it'll give Vegas. I think that of all the games last night was probably one of the most physical games of all of them. There was a lot of people that got hit and got hit hard. So the day the extra day is going to help those guys kind of heal. And I think Vegas had to play their top players a little bit more because of the fact that they were behind. So that'll give them an extra day's rest. But I don't know. I've been wrong this whole freaking series. So what do I know?
You and I have been chatting for about a month to come on the show, and it was even before your time at the Bell Center with carrying the torch.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Kind of an out-of-body experience. It was, I'd been away from the game, not involved directly for about almost since 2019. And I think a
You were a
moment
little
like that.
behind the scene. You were a little behind the scenes in St. Louis, weren't you?
Yeah, that was I hadn't worked for St. Louis since 2019, and
Right.
that whole Stanley Cup run. I mean, holy mackerel! I checked into the hotel on the 7th of April, and I checked out on the 12th of June. So that's a lot of hotel time. So, but just walking in and feeling that feeling that you only get when you step on the ice. And all of a sudden to feel it, carrying that torch out into the middle of a place where you played, well, not necessarily that place, but a lot like the Forum, and hearing the noise and everything else, it just brought back a lot of great memories. And probably, I think I mentioned it when they interviewed me that if there's something I miss most, it was that feeling, hearing that crowd and the emotion that was going on.
There is no better place to play the game for the home team than Montreal, correct?
Yeah, you wouldn't have known it that night because that was probably the worst game that they played the whole series. But
Right.
again,
But in your time too, Larry,
Yeah.
when you all through the 70s,
yep,
when you won your 4 consecutive Stanley Cups,
yeah.
the Forum was electric.
Oh, without a doubt, it was like having an extra man on the ice with you all the time because when you have that crowd behind you, you don't think about, oh, are you tired or are you hurt or whatever. You just don't want to let the fans down, so you play harder and you'll do whatever it takes to win the hockey game. But there's no place like it. It's still probably one of the best places to play if you want to play somewhere and enjoy the game and feel that euphoria when you get on the ice. No place like Montreal.
We touched on it a little earlier about momentum and emotion. The teams that you played on in Montreal, particularly when Scotty was the coach, it looked like that you guys didn't have much emotion. You guys were just like, you were such a machine. How much emotion did you play with?
Well, if you don't play with emotion, you can't play. I mean, you can still play with emotion and not go overboard. And it's usually the teams that are too emotional that, end up in the penalty box or do stupid things. So I think that's where Scotty was at his best, in that he kept everybody kind of even keel, because he kind of kept you off guard all the time. You never knew what he was thinking. And I think that's probably what made our teams that much better, is that Scotty was he was a great commander behind that bench. He knew what was going on. He knew who to put out in what situation. And the only guy that I ever seen that was like him a lot was Jacques Lemaire, although he'll never admit it. But the two of them have great hockey minds, and they knew what was going on.
Did you know that at the time when you're playing for him, or is
No.
this an appreciation?
It's an appreciation now, having been in his shoes and been in those same situations. You kind of understand, okay, now I know what he was doing. And I think Steve Shutt probably put it best. You put up with Scotty for 180 days just so that you could hoist the cup at the end of May or the 1st of June.
You touched on Claude Lemieux earlier because he was a big part of your team in 2000. I know you reflected a lot on what Claude what has happened with Claude. You've had a few weeks to think about it now. Any more thought on what Claude meant to your team and to you personally?
Well, to me personally, he came to me for a lot of help and conversations when I was a coach, because I played with Claude. And Claude came in as an 18-year-old, and we won our first cup. So I got to know Claude pretty well. He used to come out to my farm because his second wife was into horses and all that kind of stuff. So they used to come out in the summer and be around the horses and all that. So I think it's just a true testament that you can know somebody really, really well and yet not know what's going on in their minds. And it just it saddens me that somebody like that didn't reach out for somebody for help. And maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe we couldn't read between the lines, and it's very unfortunate.
That team, the teams that you played on Montreal that did win cups, really were a brotherhood, and you've kept as close as any groups probably in the history of the game, whether it be in the 70s or that team in '86. It's one of those things that never leaves you, does it?
No, it never leaves you. I mean, when you really think about during those, especially during the year, you spend more time together as players than you do with your family. So I often look back and, when you really think about it deep down, we weren't a team. We were a family because we spent a lot of time together, both on the ice and off the ice, and not just the players, but our wives, our kids. Jacques Lemaire and I mean, we spent summers together up north at Jacques had his cottage, and I used to rent his cousin's cottage, and so our kids grew up together. His son Danick and my son Jeff went to school together at Country Day in Detroit. I mean, you can go on and on. I mean, when we had that reunion at last year or the year before at Serge Savard's golf tournament, it was so wonderful just all of us sitting around together and reminiscing, and it's just, it's something that you carry with you forever. And we built that kind of relationship just because, not just because we won, but just because we spent so much time together.
Yeah, those are stories that you can't get rid of. I'm sure you didn't know that when you were playing for the Voyageurs in Halifax.
I didn't know anything back then. I knew very, very little. I was so fortunate. I had just a tremendous coach in Al McNeil, and of course my roommate was Noel Price. So Pricey was in his probably the early 30s back then, and could still outskate pretty well everybody around the ice. But he was a great mentor for me. I mean, we had a lot of great mentors in there. Mike Lawton and Jermaine Gagnon. It was just a good mix. I mean, Sam knew what he was doing when he sent rookies down there to play because, we learned a lot. I mean, even Claude Ruel was down there most of the time too. So it was a great learning experience.
I always tell Scotty, I was around your teams in the 70s just as a kid starting at hockey night. And outside the room, before the game, there was Kenny Reardon, Toe Blake, Al McNeil, Claude Ruel. And I told Scotty, I said, Scotty, all those guys around, I was scared shitless. They were, they were, it was an intimidating environment to be around what Montreal had created.
Yeah.
And you guys created an aura.
Yeah. How about as a player and you're sitting there and you got Doug Harvey coming in and Toe and Floyd Curry and Jean Beliveau coming in, and the Rocket used to come in once in a while too. I mean, for me, it wasn't intimidating. It was kind of awe-inspiring in that, because you were looking up and in the dressing room, they had all the teams that had played before and all the stats, and then the torch be yours, behold it high, or whatever. And you're looking at every day as you come in and out. So it was a tremendous environment. I still say that time that I played there, it either made you or broke you. If you were strong and strong-willed and strong-minded, it could make you, if an ordinary player, a great player.
Well, the amazing thing for me is that you did that in the 70s. I think the story of what you guys did in '86 was Jean Perron coaching the team. That's another chapter when you think that Patrick Waugh and I mean not only was Claude Lemieux 18, Patrick Waugh was not much older.
Yeah, he might have been younger.
Yeah, and I still remember Bob hoisting the cup at the Saddle Dome in Calgary, and then you turning your career around as a coach and putting your name on the cup as a coach in the National Hockey League. You've had an amazing career. It must speak to the love you have of the game.
Well, I look back and you know what, John, there was 52 years in the game, 52 years. And the only one regret I had is that when I was working in San Jose, that they didn't ask me to come and help out when they went against Pittsburgh. I don't know the reason why, but I was there and I said, listen, if you need my advice or you want me to come over, I'm more than happy to help out. But I never got the call, and they end up losing to Pittsburgh. Probably wouldn't have made a difference, but it would have been nice to at least been there with these guys, because when the Thornton and Marlowe and Pav and I still talk back and forth every once in a while too. So a great bunch of guys, and had a good time there too.
Oh, I was gonna finish the interview there, but when you say you and Pav talk, well, Joe Pavelski going to coach in this league one day? Do you think?
Well, when I saw his name coming up about being interviewed, I went, "Wow." I was thinking maybe his golf game has dipped a little bit, and because he's a hell of a golfer. I went down. We used to go over. My brother and I used to go over and watch him in that. He'd come in and play that tournament in Lake Nona.
Yeah.
And the first year he plays in it, he wins it. So, but I think he's got a tremendous hockey mind, great hockey mind. But to come in cold turkey like that, and then into that environment, I don't know. That's a tough one, because if my buddy Craig Berube couldn't turn it around, I don't know who can, because I got the utmost respect for him and the way he coaches.
Well, maybe Joe would need a grizzled old veteran assistant coach.
Very old and grizzled. Yeah.
Well, hey, listen, it's still in your blood, man.
Yeah, it is. It'll always be in your blood.
Larry Robinson, thank you for this. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, John. Anytime.
Larry Robinson, Hockey Hall of Famer, Stanley Cup champion, on this edition of 100% Hockey. Back after this.
NHL TV is now on DAZN. Hockey lives here.
Here we go.
Watch every game from every team. The best players in the world. And the coldest plays on ice. Watch up to 4 games at once for the ultimate NHL experience. Sign up now at DAZN.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, give us the thumbs up. I'm not going to give you the thumbs up because Millard usually laughs at me when I do it. Give us the thumbs up on YouTube, on all of the podcast platforms, including iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, Podbean, wherever you listen. It'd be great to get some feedback, great to get some positive, great to get another subscription. So we're set for Game 6 on Sunday night. The Stanley Cup Final could be over by the time we talk again on Monday. For Daren Millard, John Shannon, thanks for listening or watching this edition of 100% Hockey.